When OS2 first came out, it didn't find a lot of acceptance nor a lot of support from software developers. But much of that is changing now as the attendees at this OS2 conference here at the San Jose Convention Center are finding out. There is growing software support and increased acceptance among PC users. Today, we'll take a look at OS2 on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by the Software Publishers Association, providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stewart Cheifet, and with me today is Greg Kelly of Digivox. And Greg, you have a program called Sound Impression that's on the computer here. What is Sound Impression? How do you use it?
Sound Impression is a desktop recording studio. What we've done is to take the power of a traditional studio and bring it right down to the desktop.
All right, what are the things we see on the screen?
So we have here are mixing controls for the different types of audio. Here we have our wave recorder and player, which has 16-track capability. This is a MIDI player. And this is a CD player for playing regular music CDs. So, for instance, I can be playing CD while I'm working in some other program.
Okay, now show me how you can actually pull up a piece of sound and how you'll put all the tracks together and so on.
Okay, what we'll do here is we'll go to our mixer, and we can have dropped in different tracks that we've previously edited, and now we wanted to mix them together, and now I'll play this composition here.
We've got a bunch of sound effects.
So these are just different sound effects that we mix together.
All right, now the point when showing this is that when Sound Impression first came out, it came out to run under Windows.
Correct.
You have a new version that's going to come out and run under OS2 version 2.1, and you say it will run better under OS2 than it does under Windows. I want to ask you why.
Well, we're very excited about our OS2 version. The power of OS2 with its multitasking capability will give us capabilities that we presently don't have under Windows to accurately synchronize video and sound. So really for the multimedia author is the platform they want to use.
Okay, today we are going to look at IBM's OS2 operating system to see its features and to help you figure out if it's a platform that makes sense for the kind of work you do. One of the big issues for any operating system is how much support is there out in the software development community. To check out OS2 support, let's go back to that Windows OS2 Expo being held at the San Jose Convention Center.
IBM currently lists 1,200 applications developed specifically for OS2, but many of those are aimed at small, vertical markets. One of the first mainstream programs to hop on the OS2 platform is a word processor called Describe. The new Describe 4.0 takes full advantage of OS2's 32-bit architecture. Describe's CEO Alan Katzen says OS2 is a developer's dream.
Most people who develop OS2 products and go onto other platforms and prefer developing under OS2, especially Windows products. As far as the capabilities of work OS2 and how it benefits us, because it's a multi-threaded, multitasking type operating system and now a 32-bit operating system, gives you a lot of power and capabilities that you don't have in other platforms.
Other major developers who are now supporting OS2 include WordPerfect, Lotus Development, Computer Associates, Corel, and Micrographics. Their entry into the world of OS2 represents a major breakthrough.
There's a real market there. They believe there's a market there, and them coming over, although it's going to give me headaches from a competitive standpoint, it will bring some credibility, and that's going to help us as well.
Software developers say the key ingredient to increased OS2 application support is going to be better tech support from IBM.
From a developer's point of view, it's more pleasurable to program for Presentation Manager, but there are less tools. Not all the tools in this show will work with OS2, but they certainly all work with Windows. So that's one reason that companies don't go to OS2, because there's a smaller choice for development tools.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Jonelle Patterson.
Oh, you got it.
And then this hard disk like slides right out and you can pop a new one.
You got more bolts to pump in there. To many PC users, OS2 is just a name, yet to others it's an operating system that provides unmatched power. We'll find out what it can do now from, first of all, George Oliver, Manager of Information Technology at the Royal Bank of Canada, John Sawyering, IBM's Manager of Independent Software Development, and here to help us understand all of it is Edwin Black, who's the publisher of this new magazine for OS2 types called the OS2 Professional. Edwin, the perception is there's a war out there between IBM and Microsoft, between Windows and OS2, and that Windows won and OS2 lost. It's not that easy, is it?
No, I think there was a war, and I think the war is over. It ended last fall during Comdex when Windows NT failed to show. Right now, OS2 has demonstrated that it has revolutionized personal computing. It is a system that is so revolutionary, it will actually give time back to its users, take the frenzy out of personal computing. And I'm speaking of the multitasking. I'm speaking of the fact that a simple individual can do 10 things at once, not through his own energies, but through the energies of the computer, which is why OS2 is known for harnessing the computer and not the operator.
Okay. All right, you got one fan there, John. All right, let's turn now to take a look, and you're going to show us version 2.1, the newest version of OS2,
That's
which
correct.
is just coming out. First of all, what are the differences between 2.1 and 2.0?
Well, first of all, in OS2 2.1, we can run some additional applications that we were unable to run in OS2 2.0. OS2 2.0 was able to run most DOS applications and Windows applications, but there were a few Windows applications we couldn't run, and those were called enhanced mode Windows applications. There's a couple of them on this system right now that are installed, like Wolfram's Mathematica or the OmniPage Professional, which is a scanning application, which are enhanced mode applications which under OS2 2.1 now are able to run.
Okay.
In addition, DOS and Windows applications run much faster under this release of the operating system, and we integrate into the operating system multimedia features, which now will be standard on every system.
We'll get to see that a little bit later on.
Yes,
First of all, just give us a little introduction to this OS2 desktop and some of the things you can do, John.
Okay, what many people so far have found very attractive is the ease of use, and many compare this to the Apple Macintosh, and some argue that it's easier to use than the Macintosh because of it builds into an object-oriented interface facilities such that a user can manipulate what are viewed to be everyday objects just by directly
show me what you mean
pointing
on
to
the
them
screen, John.
and dragging to them. So what we'll do is take a look at a folder. For example, I've created a folder and called it Computer Chronicles. It looks like a manila file folder. If I point to it and double-click, a program starts up which opens up that folder, and in it I have a document called Top Secret. If I point to this document, I can just double-click it. And what happened really underneath the covers is that the computer system knew to go and start a particular editor and load a particular document, and it brought it up for me. I didn't have to deal with an application or deal with any file systems. The computer handled that for me, and that's the object-oriented nature that makes it easier to use.
What other examples would you have?
Now, part of it's direct manipulation also. For example, if I want to move something from a file, I can just take it out of the file folder and move it over. Or if I want to file something in a particular document, I just dragged it over. I can also shred it or delete something just by bringing it over to a shredder, dragging it over and dropping on the shredder, and it'll prompt me in case I didn't do that accidentally, but it will now delete it, and it's been deleted from that folder. So those are just some of the basic manipulations where before you might enter through cryptic commands or through menus and having to select from menus to perform an operation. Now you're pointing to something, just dragging and dropping, and people are finding that to make the system very easy to use.
And you can open up DOS applications, Windows applications in here?
Absolutely. That's one of the attractive features. We call this the integrating platform because you can take existing DOS applications, existing Windows applications, install them, and have the user get additional benefits above and beyond running them in their native environment. Could you do that for us? I
mean, I see you have 1, 2, 3 down there, or you have Windows.
Yeah, actually, what we have here is we created a document called PC Sales Forecast. That's another thing you can do is you can put very long names instead of short cryptic names that follow an 8.3 format. And if I point and click at this, an existing DOS application, Lotus 123, now is really taking advantage of the object-oriented characteristics. I pointed, the system loaded the application, started it, and it loaded a file, which is my forecast file, automatically into the system. I'll just shut that one down.
And how about a Windows example?
Okay. A Windows example would be Lotus's Omni Pro, which is represented by this icon. Again, pointing and clicking, and it brings up the document, and users get some benefits in this, more memory space, and the ability to interoperate between DOS applications, Windows applications, and OS2 applications.
You can actually use that principle, I think you showed me before, of actually changing the color of your your background and so on
A lot of people
directly.
like that. They get fairly stylish at times. Let's open up this file folder. It has a white background or a grayish background. Let's say we don't quite like that and we want to change it to this orangish background.
You can
Being
drag
from
and drop
Texas,
color, basically.
Yeah, this is the color of the University of Texas right here, so it's an appropriate one.
Okay.
And it's as simple as that to change color. You can change fonts just as easily.
All right, George, I want to turn to you, and you've got a separate IBM ThinkPad there you're using. You're a user of OS2, and show us some of the features you like about using OS2 versus some of the other platforms.
Pretty much the same kind of idea. In the bank, we have been crippled by DOS in terms of getting business application out the door. We spent more time re-engineering and figuring out memory maps, and you know, and our network is many thousands of PCs. So it's really important for us to get away from the handicaps of DOS and into the next generation of operating system. And some of the ease of use stuff that John talked about also impressed us as well. But a lot of the stuff that we're doing is actually the inherently underneath the glass is really what we're after.
The wallpaper is yours, by the way. I take it that doesn't come with OS2?
This is a standard raw bank wallpaper at the back here.
Okay.
What I'd like to show you is basically I'm doing the same thing. I'm bringing up memos. This actual notepad is my notepad. I use this all the time. Again, you can call things the update paper feedback and call things meaningful names. I've also installed the latest CC Mail, and I believe you're getting
We'll see a full look at CC Mail under OS2 later.
Basically, what I'm doing there is directly manipulating that document and saying I want to send it to someone. Up comes the CC Mail-based application. Automatically, it's attached as an attached document. I want to send it to myself for the purposes of this demo, and basically give it a title, and then go off and say, okay, mail that document. So you can imagine the ability to do that is very, very important for us because it reduces the amount of time, reduces the training, reduces the complexity of the underlying operating systems. What I'll show you there is basically that's arrived, there's a new file that arrived, I can double click on that file, bring it up, let people have a look at it. More importantly, the ability to take multiple vendors' products and have them work seamlessly together.
All on the
same desktop. So basically I'm saying here is double click on that attached file. What happens was under the covers the operating system said that is a process, a word process document, bring up the word processor. I didn't have to file the document, find it in a directory, all that kind of complexity is basically hidden from the viewer.
Quickly, George, you have one little neat thing up there. I know it doesn't have much to do with OS2, but you have a utility up there called the mouse odometer. I know our viewers would like to see.
The mouse odometer is a critical app, in my opinion. So, mouse odometer, I'm Canadian, so of course it's in kilometers. And you can see that, of course, it's calculating how much distance this mouse is doing over this session. And since January the 10th of this year, it's done 1.618 So it's a real busy little mouse there.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Well, at the moment, OS2 is the only 32-bit operating system on the market, but hovering out there somewhere is Windows NT from Microsoft. To find out what NT can do, we went to the Ziff Davis Labs in Foster City, California, where they're beta testing Microsoft's 32-bit platform.
The engineers at the ZD Labs are evaluating Windows NT for its potential as an application development platform and for its usability. Labs director Bill McCrone says the standout feature of NT is its connectivity.
I mean, we've done things here where we've hooked it up to a Unix server via TCP/IP. We've run SNA protocols and hooked it up to our mainframe. We've had it on a NetWare LAN and had it intercommunicate with all of these things more or less transparently. It's not a distributed operating system, but it is a good communicating operating system.
The 32-bit architecture of Windows NT makes it similar to IBM's OS2 in multitasking and multi-threading capability. The big difference, though, is NT's ability to run on multiple processors. The lab's test manager, Bob Kane, says this will spawn a whole new class of multiprocessor file servers.
Right now, given the state of the 486 and the soon-to-be released Pentium processors from Intel, the R4000 processor from MIPS, the Alpha processor from DEC, that we are going to see a wave of hardware that is just waiting for applications in an operating system to be able to exploit their capabilities. And NT is going to be the operating system across all those platforms that will be able to do that.
Other advanced features expected in the finished version of Windows NT include the NTFS file system, individualized login capability for workgroup members, and increased power in applications like spreadsheets and CAD programs. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Jonelle Patterson.
While Windows NT is still in development, IBM is releasing version 2.1 of OS2, as we mentioned earlier. So let's find out more about what OS2 can do. Joining us now, Carl Wong of Lotus Development. Back with us, John Sawyering of IBM, whose proper title should be Director of Software Development Programs. And back with us, Edwin Black of OS2 Professional. Carl, let's turn to you. And Lotus, I guess, is doing a lot supporting OS2 with some of your applications, aren't you?
That's right. We've been shipping 123 for OS2 and Freelance for OS2 for a couple of years now. And we'll also be shipping AMI Pro as well as CC Mail for OS2 in the first quarter this year.
Okay, we saw a little bit of CC Mail running under OS2 before, but show us some of the features of CC Mail, in particular those that come out under OS2 that we wouldn't otherwise see.
Sure. What I'll be demonstrating here is CC Mail for the OS2 Workplace Shell. And what we're looking at right now is the CC Mail folder that installs upon the Workplace Shell. Now, instead of having one single exe, as we do in other environments, in the Workplace Shell, we've actually taken the functionality of email and broke it out into separate Workplace Shell objects. So other functionality items that people might be familiar with, such as directories and inboxes, are in the folder. And since they are true Workplace Shell folders, I can go ahead and just drag and drop them out to the desktop, where I might want to normally have my inbox. And we can go into the inbox just by double-clicking. And here we have our inbox. It's very much like a traditional email system. You can see who the message is from, the date, the size, the subject. To look at a message, we just double-click. And here's the actual message window. This happens to be a message from user Denise to myself, and it says asking for some sales forecast figures. Now, I could go ahead and normally reply to the message like I normally would in any other email system, but to take advantage of the Workplace Shell that IBM has provided us, we can do drag and drop. So I have also to show you something new down here at the bottom, something called the message template object, which works as a template under OS2. And I'll double-click to show you here what a message template object can do. In this case, this message template object is pre-addressed to go automatically to the sales group with a predefined subject. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and reply to Denise for her request for sales figure numbers, I can just go into my OS2 folder on the particular project we might be working on, take that particular file that I'm looking for, and actually drag it on drop and top of the message template object here, and notice that it's already pre-attached, all ready to go, and it's already pre-addressed to the sales group, the numbers, and because it is a Workplace Shell object, I can actually go back in here again and do a commonly used text item that I have here, take the message, and send it off. So you can see by having taking advantage of the Workplace Shell, we've actually cut down on some of the user requirements and training. It's that easy to actually create a program.
What about multi-threading here?
Well, the whole program is full 32-bit and fully multi-threaded. I showed you an example here. Let's go ahead and look at our folder list. And here happens to be a folder here with about 400 messages. If I wanted to copy all those messages to another folder or maybe print them, which is a common user requested feature, we can actually go ahead and take this. I'll just show this by dropping that in my follow-up folder here. Notice that a little status bar comes up and it tells you it's copying. Because it's fully multi-threaded, under OS2 I can go off and do other things. I can look at my hard drive here. I might go out, notice that I'm doing other things. You'll notice it's just chugging away. That's great. And this is something you just would not be able to do under Microsoft Windows.
Right. Okay, John, let's turn back to you. And one of the things you can do with OS2 is something you say which is better than QuickTime, better than video for Windows, what you call Ultimotion. Explain what it is and why it's better than QuickTime, etc.
Okay, first of all, in addition to being able to run this current 16-bit applications designed for DOS or Windows 3.1, we built a lot of additional technology into OS2 to enable new applications, the next generation of applications, much like what Carl's been showing. But we've come up with one that IBM currently has in beta test called Ultimotion Matinee. And I'm going to give you a little demonstration of it. Before I go into it, what we're going to see on here is very high resolution. The resolution of this is 240 pixels vertically, 320 horizontally. And that compares to the state of the art today in the industry on PCs of 160 times 120, or 4 times the density of the resolution. Also, this has a capability without any hardware assist, not only to play full motion video and the audio, which we'll see very soon and listen to very soon, but also capture in real time. And no other product in the industry that we're aware of can do that with software alone. And this is just an example of the quality that you can get.
And how many frames per second can we run through?
Now this is running at 24 frames per second, where the other products in the industry tend to run at about up to 15 frames per second. The other thing that you're seeing is that with a different audio clip, that the audio is right in sync with the video. If you had a human speaking, the words would be coming out in sync with the lips.
And why is that? Why can you do that?
With OS2, we have a capability called multi-threading, where through the video is on one thread, the audio is on the other thread, and we have items in the operating system allowing us to synchronize the two threads.
One of the wraps on OS2, John, is the hardware it takes to support it and run OS2. How much of a problem is that? What do you really need to run OS2 on your PC?
Well, OS2 will start off with any 32-bit Intel-compatible processors, like a 386SX or larger. It will run with 4 megabytes of memory, but we typically recommend 6 megabytes or more of memory. And the minimum amount of disk space required is about 18 megabytes, though some people have been able to pare that back down to about 12 megabytes. That's comparable to installing DOS, Windows, and some other facilities in, which would take up a comparable amount of space. But in this case, you don't need to add DOS or Windows. It's already built into OS2 version 2.1 as well as 2.0.
Right. That's right. Edwin, what do you think? I mean, are we going to see software support like Lotus is obviously providing to OS2 so that there'll be more of a balance out there in the world between OS2 and Windows? Or somebody going to win this war? What do you predict now?
Well, I think right now there are millions of people who are able to use OS2 with their existing DOS applications just through a DOS window. I myself use 5 or 6 at any given time, and our cover story this month in OS2 Professional is about that very feature. The question is whether the explosion of wonderful applications like we've seen here today is going to occur sooner or later. The fuse has certainly been lit, and whether it's going to be a short fuse or a long fuse is something that really the public is going to see, I think, in 1993.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. Very impressive stuff. That's our look at OS2. Stay tuned now for this week's computer news on Random Access.
In the Random Access file this week, Digital Equipment announced a new series of PCs called the DEC PC MT. The new line features high-performance graphics technology for multimedia applications. It also takes up less desk space than a standard PC with its micro-tower design. Borland plans to bundle its Windows-based Quattro Pro and Paradox. The package will be offered for under $200 for a limited time. WordPerfect is shipping WordPerfect for the Macintosh version 2.1.3. The upgrade integrates the word processor with Grammatic 5 and the compression program Stuffit. Canon has cut prices up to 30% on its entire line of bubble jet printers. At the same time, they're offering a $50 rebate on the BJ200 desktop printer till May 31st. Taking a look at the best-selling utility programs, according to Egghead Software, Stacker for DOS and Windows 3.0 is #1 on the PC side, while Fun Screensavers from Berkeley Systems are the leading products on the Mac. It's tax time again, and we have a special report from Stewart Cheifet on what the IRS has to say about doing your taxes on your computer.
There are many ways to file your tax returns these days. Fill in the forms and mail them, do them on your computer, or just punch in the information directly to the IRS on a touch-tone phone. But using technology to do your taxes doesn't give you an excuse for making mistakes.
The taxpayer is always responsible for their own tax return, regardless of what medium that they use, and that's what you're basically doing when you sign your return. And when you're talking about the taxware packages, it's still the information that the taxpayer gives to there. But for audit, you're no more or less subject to an audit filing this way than any other way.
The IRS is experimenting with electronic means of filing because, like any other organization these days, it's looking for ways to do its work more efficiently. But when you have 100 million people sending you their paperwork the same night, the challenge is a big one. So the IRS is hoping taxpayers will use computers and telephones, and not just the mail, to file their returns.
IRS definitely wants taxpayers to use all these different alternatives. We're trying to make it less fearful, more comfortable. People are more comfortable with a PC, and it's just an alternative that an individual can use.
10 million people are expected to file their taxes electronically this year. At the moment, only professional tax preparers are authorized to send your returns directly from their PCs to the IRS. But the Internal Revenue Service is trying other ways to make tax time easier. You can now buy software that lets you do your taxes simply by answering some questions on the new Form 1040 PC. In Ohio, the IRS is now experimenting with telephone filing. You call a toll-free number, and with a touch-tone phone, just enter your wages, deductions, and withholdings.
Each year we try to add either an addition to the current program that we have or another alternative, and I do see that the system will be changing as people become more comfortable with PCs and have more personal computers in their home, become more comfortable with it. I see that this will be definitely a growing trend.
For more information on tax preparation software available, look for the March issue of Home Office Computing or PC World magazines. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. I'm Janelle Stelson.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by the Software Publishers Association, providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Video cassette copies of this program are available. Computer Chronicles also publishes a companion newsletter containing details on products demonstrated, plus background information on program topics. To order a video cassette or a subscription to the newsletter, call 1-800-366-9484 or write Computer Chronicles. Please specify program subject for tapes. All orders include a free software program for auditing software use and information on the definitive guide to keeping your organization's software legal.